On today's edition of Cronkite Sports Live, Arizona State football kicked off its season last night. The Sun Devils battled through a haboob in an extremely unusual game.
ASU soccer is currently undefeated as their season gets rolling. Get to know a major contributor to the team's success.
And Sun Devil Volleyball is in tournament mode as they get started today in the Borderland Invitational. Find out the latest on them and so much more on today's edition of Cronkite Sports Live.
We are back on our rightful day. Sundays are for church, Saturdays are for the boys, and Fridays, well, they're for Cronkite Sports Live. Riley Swenson alongside Cavan Malayter coming at you live from Studio 6. And Cavan, if you stayed up to watch that ASU football game last night, you're probably just wiping the sleep out of your eyes.
Yeah, I hope you got your cough running this morning, Riley, because Arizona State and Southern Utah embodied what Pac-12 After Dark really is. As Lee Corso puts it, it was closer than the experts think. But if you didn't miss it or you just stayed up late for it, we got the highlights for you. And we start right now by taking you out to Mountain America Stadium. Yes, that's right, the new home, or the new name, I should say, for Sun Devil football. Fans and students piling into the stadium. Very excited for the debut of Kenny Dillingham and the new-look Sun Devils. We start early first quarter. Jaden Rashada back to pass in the pocket, and he connects inside the 10-yard line with Melquan Stovall. It was a first and goal situation in which a couple of plays later, Cameron Scattaboo broke a couple of tackles and got into the end zone for the first touchdown of the season. Second quarter is where we head to now, and up the gut goes Targi Lamson. He ties up the game 7-7. That silenced that Mountain America Stadium crowd. Fourth down now, later in the second quarter. Rashada rolls out and throws a dime. Xavier Guillory for 6. Sun Devils grab the lead, but this is where things got really interesting. The dust really picked up. A haboob rolled in. So we think a true freshman would struggle in that situation, right? That wasn't the case. Perfect throw from Rashada. 21-7 Arizona State going into the half. And that's where the lightning and thunder and rain came in. A over 2.5 hour rain delay during that halftime period. Finally, the game will resume at the beginning of the third quarter in a near empty Sun Devil Stadium. And guess what? The visiting Thunderbirds used that to their advantage right there. Perfect ball from Justin Miller as he found Zach Mitchell on the front pylon. And just like that, it was 21-14. Sun Devils in the fourth quarter would have a nice drive that was up a Dario Longhetto 38-yard field goal to make it a 10-point game. So a couple of three and outs later for Arizona State. And watch out here, we got a blocked punt by Southern Utah, and this would be taken back to the house. It was 24-21. SUU had all the momentum, but under 4 minutes to play, Sun Devils needed a couple of first downs to seal the deal right there. A shot, check down to Scattaboo would do the job. Arizona State would hold on barely, but they held on 24-21 to get the first win in the Kenny Dillingham era. Here's the new head coach after his first win.
There was a positive, you could say, at the end of the game. They got it done, and that's all that football's about. It doesn't matter who you play. It matters you get it done. And at the end of the day, the guys got it done. That's what I told them in the locker room. You got it done. You're 1-0. We got a lot of crap to fix, but you got it done. So let's move along and let's get better.
So Arizona State will look to try to clean up those mistakes and look ahead now as they will welcome in Oklahoma State. The Cowboys come to Tempe for the first time since 1993, which is a game Arizona State won by a score of 12-10. The week after, Fresno State makes their first trip to Tempe since 1933. That was just 5 years after sliced bread was invented. Their homestand continues by welcoming in the Heisman winner Caleb Williams and USC, and they wrap it up with their first road game at California.
We are now joined live by WCSN football reporter, the pride of Cherry Creek, Colorado, Ben Paris. Ben, thanks for joining us, and we've got to start with the haboob, man. It was at the end of the first half when the weather came in, and I know you were in the press box at the game. How can you best describe that experience?
Yeah, Riley, it was crazy what went down here last night. It was 5 seconds to go in the first half. Arizona State had a running play. They weren't able to get out of bounds, so they call a timeout. During that timeout, out of nowhere, this haboob, this sandstorm, this thunderstorm, whatever you want to call what happens in Arizona at this time of the year, popped us out of nowhere. The visibility went down exponentially, and Then after that, Southern Utah called the timeout. So it was like 2 or 3 minutes in between plays, and this storm came out of nowhere. Arizona State was able to score on the final play of scrimmage of the half and get into the locker room before a 2-hour and 50-minute delay. But man, oh man, Riley, I've never seen anything like it at a college football game. I'm going to remember it for a long time.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to remember that one for a long time, but let's get into the actual X's and O's of the game. I don't know if you heard, Ben, but it was Jaden Rashada's first start, and what did you think of his play last night?
Yeah, it was the birthday boy last night as well, turning 20 years old while making his college debut. But look, he made the mistakes that I think we could expect any freshman quarterback to make, making their college debut at the collegiate level. He missed some easy passes. He had some misreads. But the thing is, he also showed such an incredible confidence in the pocket. When Kenny Dillingham says, all right, we're going to go for it on 4th and 7, and he delivers a 47-yard strike for a touchdown, that is confidence. He's just a freshman. He showed off his high football IQ early in the first half and led the offense down the field to 3 scores in his first half as a Sun Devil. I mean, this guy really could be the quarterback of the future.
Yeah, and Ben, they get the win, but the score last night, 24-21, probably a little closer than what the Sun Devils would have liked, coming in as over 30-point favorites. What could they have done better, and how do they correct that moving forward now with some game action under their belt?
Yeah, Riley, the second half was a poor effort compared to the first half. No trip to the end zone, just the field goal to pull out the win. And to me, it came down to 3 big plays. It was 2 on defense and 1 on special teams. The secondary had some miscues. One of them right here, Jordan Clark and Dimitri's, they had some problems. They just missed some easy tackles right here. Should have been an easy tackle. Boom, defender just flows right past him and all the way downfield, flipped the field and set up a scoring opportunity for Southern Utah. And then, of course, the special teams miscue as well. Those 3 plays are what got Southern Utah back into this game. And on the other side, ASU, the defense, ASU overall, the penalties in the second half really hurt them. Just 1 penalty in the first half, but another 8 in the second half, holding for 100 yards. So some of those things, all right, we can expect that. Those numbers are going to be inflated with penalties and stuff like that in the first game of the season. And also with a weather delay, you don't really expect the second half of the game to, start at 11:30 at night. But some of that stuff, you have to wonder, okay, how much of it is the weather and how much does this team need to improve, right? They're going to start playing some Power 5 opponents. They're going to get into Pac-12 conference play, and they're going to have to finish games. If you want to win games in the Pac-12 and this team wants to be able to play spoiler, they have to be able to finish games deep into the second half.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time, Ben, and enjoy the long weekend.
Yeah, you as well, Riley. We'll see you next week in a new spot in the studio.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate it. Ben, about the true freshman Jaden Rashada and his Week 1 start. But he's not the only true freshman Jaden to get the Week 1 nod. For this week's Vault, we don't have to travel too far back in time to see the last time a true freshman was QB1 for the Sun Devils. The year is 2019. The Sun Devils are getting ready to open up the season against Kent State inside then named Sun Devil Stadium. You know it's a blast from the past because that guy right there, Herm Edwards, still the head coach. And there you see the true freshman Jaden Daniels getting loose, ready to lead his team into battle. Picked this one up in the first quarter, 3-0 Sun Devils. But they're going to extend the lead right here. Touchdown pass to Eno Benjamin makes it 10-0. And we'll see a different look at it here from Jaden Daniels. First career touchdown pass, uses those legs to avoid some pass rushers. Make it 10-0 in the first quarter. Same score now, third quarter. And Jaden Daniels does it himself. Running the read option, he'll walk it into the end zone. Doesn't get much easier than that. We saw him use his legs to avoid some pass rushers. Now this time just gets around the edge of the defensive end, able to walk in for the easy score. Now in the third quarter, sometimes you're the freshman quarterback, you just got to get out the first-round draft pick, man. Brandon Ayuk, 77 big ones all the way to the house. Sun Devils roll to the victory, 30-7. Daniels finishes with 284 yards through the air and a pair of touchdowns, leading the way for his team. Cavan, we've seen Rashada, we've now seen Daniels, but there's some other notable Pac-12 quarterbacks that started as true freshmen in Week 1 for their teams.
Yeah, Riley, you're absolutely right. And for this week's edition of Impact, we're going to take a look back at the company that Jaden Rashada joined last night. And we're going to start with the #1 overall pick at one time, Jared Goff, who lit up the scoreboard in his collegiate debut. 450 yards passing for Cal against Northwestern. He lit up a bunch of California careers and records, and that's how he ended up shaking Roger Goodell's hand on draft night.
And Josh Rose, another true freshman, started in week 1 for UCLA. And you see right there, 3 touchdowns in that game, drafted 10th overall in 2018 by the Cardinals. But as we know, that career didn't quite pan out as a lot of people thought it might.
Well, the first career start for Jake Browning did not pan out the way he wanted it to or people expected it to, but the rest of his career did. He had a costly interception on the road at Boise State, but that doesn't really matter. He's the winningest quarterback in Pac-12 history, which was highlighted by the team's trip to the college football playoff, to the last Pac-12 school to do so.
Yeah, last but definitely not least, that's not a Pac-12 quarterback. Oh wait, is it? That's Bo Nix in an Auburn uniform playing against his current team in Oregon, leading a game-winning drive against the then Justin Herbert-led Oregon Ducks. Oregon would lose 2 games in that season, the first one coming to true freshman Bo Nix, the second one coming to true freshman Jaden Daniels and the Arizona State Sun Devils later that year. And for Bo Nix, what a career. He starts off beating Oregon, and now he'll finish his career as their quarterback.
The symmetry is impeccable, Riley, and now we're going to turn our focus to the other kind of football as Arizona State played host to Boise State yesterday afternoon at Sun Devil Soccer Stadium. We'll start in the 3rd minute of the first half. Boise State's Morgan Pedor, her shot missed just to the left of the net. We go about 19 minutes later, Arizona State with their first good chance. Anasia Cologne missed her free kick opportunity, also just to the left. 36 minute now. You're catching a theme here. There's been a lot of missed opportunities so far. Cologne with a good cross into the box for Valancourt. Her shot was blocked by the keeper, Crenshaw, Boise State. Nothing doing so far. 37 minute. Watch a nice turnout pressure there by Lisa Carlier. She made that defender fall over. Sun Devils will try to have possession, and later in that possession, Cologne would get a free kick opportunity, but she hooked it left, trying to nail that top left corner. 44th minute now. A free kick that was sent into the box by Boise State was dropped by Pauline Nels, and it was scored by Boise State. However, the flag went up. It was called offside. We remain 0-0. We fast forward now to the 64th minute. Carrie Matthews take a corner over to Lisa Carlier. Her header went over the bar, and that would end up being the final. 0-0. Arizona State back at home to play Kent State on Sunday. So sophomore forward Anasia Cologne has been on fire to begin her 2nd season with the Sun Devils. For more on her impressive start for the Bradenton, Florida native, we check in with Ryan Myers.
Anasia Cologne has been the standout forward for Arizona State women's soccer thus far. Cologne has scored 4 goals for the Sun Devils in 5 matches, including 2 goals in their season opener versus Wright State. As a freshman, Cologne saw action in 17 matches, making 6 starts, finding the back of the net twice last season. Cologne's elite technical ability allows her to be crafty in tight spaces and dribble around defenders. Combine her fancy footwork and powerful strike, and she's a nightmare for the opposition. Cologne is also part of the Puerto Rican under-20 national team, starting in all 3 group stage matches in the 2023 CONCACAF Women's U20 Championship, scoring 2 goals for her nation against Costa Rica. Arizona State women's soccer has massive boots to fill this season, in the absence of last year's stars Lexi Delgado, Eva Van Dersen, and Nicole Douglas. But with 20 underclassmen on the roster, the Sun Devils are going to need players like Cologne to make a jump if they're going to be able to compete in the Pac-12 this season. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Ryan. Women's soccer isn't the only undefeated team on campus. The women's volleyball team is off to a 3-0 start and have only dropped 1 single set all year long. The Sun Devils won the Florida Gulf Coast Invitational last weekend and look to carry that momentum into the Borderland Invitational at New Mexico State. The action kicked off today as ASU is currently taking on UTEP. Sun Devils currently on top 2-1. Now beyond today, let's take a look at the upcoming schedule for Arizona State. And we can see right there, right now at the Borderland Invitational in New Mexico. Then they'll make the trip to Flagstaff for the Lumberjack Classic before heading out to Memphis for the Beale Street Challenge. So a lot of tournaments there. Finally, they'll start conference play at home, Mullet Arena, against the Wildcats of Arizona. That's what the upcoming schedule looks like for Sun Devil Volleyball. When Kenny Dillingham led his squad out of the tunnel last night, it marked the start of the final season of Arizona State football in the Pac-12. It's a conference with rivalries and history that come a year from now will be no more. For Kenny and crew, the transition into the Big 12 is seen as an upgrade. Tougher competition, better national media coverage, and of course, a nice payday. But as you've seen on our show today, ASU is far more than a football school. And those programs outside of football who have had plenty of success seem to have been forgotten in the amazing world of conference realignment. And I get it. For just about every school in the country, football is the sport that brings in money, which funds the rest of the university's athletics. I hear that argument loud and clear. But at what point is money more important than the well-being of student athletes? Did anyone consider the women on the soccer team and how in the world they're supposed to fly across the country to Orlando, Florida, before getting back on a plane and going to Cincinnati, Ohio, all while being expected to pass their classes and play soccer at a high level? That's just one extreme example, but you get the point. And it's not fair to put this on Arizona State, because this isn't just a problem here at ASU. It's a problem across college athletics. Schools around the country have discounted storied rivalries and the athletic department as a whole just to see their football team make some extra cash. Will Oregon and Oregon State still meet up each year? I hope so. And will the Apple Cup in Washington be a yearly tradition, or will the Huskies have to travel across the country to play Rutgers instead of their in-state rivals? Only time will tell if the decisions made were the right ones. And don't get me wrong, I love football just as much as the next, and I'm fired up to see Kenny D take a team into Lubbock, Texas on a November evening. I just hope the forgotten sports aren't forgotten any longer. Football will always generate the most money, and for that reason will always be put on a pedestal. So get used to it, because seeing your school's baseball or softball team playing a game 3 time zones away is the new normal, and that's the way it is.
Time for top plays. We start on the pitch, 37th minute between ASU and Boise State. Lisa Carlier out there taking some ankles at midfield. That game obviously would finish in a 0-0 draw.
We go from the pitch to the gridiron. Jaden Rashada fires this one out to Cameron Scadaboo, makes one man miss, then whap! Big ol' spin move there, bouncing off tacklers, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, big pickup there. More from this game in just a second.
Speaking of big pickups, how about this one right here? Number 1, 4th down for the Sun Devils. Kenny Dillingham elects to go for it, and boy, that decision paid off. Look at this downfield strike from Rashada to Xavier Guillory. That's good for 6. Sun Devils grabbed the lead on that very play, a lead they would not give up. 24-21 the final as the Sun Devils were victorious. So that is all the time we got today. Week 1 for us and the Sun Devils is in the books. As always, major props to all the people who work this show behind the scenes, who make what we do possible. For Riley Swenson, I'm Cavan Malayter. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Cronkite Sports Live.